All right, Larry Krueger here, outside 49ers facility after Wednesday with a little recap of the Wednesday happenings down here in Santa Clara. 49ers getting ready to take on the Rams Sunday in Week 18. Of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. And also, this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use that promo code Krug, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, we're down here in Santa Clara today, getting ready to head back home. Some of the happenings today. Now, the Rams are going to start Carson Wentz over Matt Stafford Sunday against the 49ers. So does that mean they want Dallas over Detroit? Does that mean they just want to get Wentz some run? Is Stafford hurt? Are they trying to freshen up Stafford for the playoffs? At this point, all those things could be possible, but that's the official word. Rams will start Carson Wentz. The Niners are going to counter by starting Sam Darnold. I asked Kyle Shanahan earlier today, I said, are you going to play Brock Purdy? He said, no, I am not going to play Brock Purdy. So Brock Purdy will be the emergency quarterback. And I don't expect that we're going to see Brandon Allen either. I think it's going to be all Sam Darnold on Sunday against the Rams. I think Brandon Allen will be the number 2 quarterback. Brock will be the number 3. But the sense of it that I get is that it's going to be all Sam Darnold, and Brandon Allen won't go in this game. As far as the broadcast of the game, it's on Fox. Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink will be on the coverage for Fox for the Niners-Rams. Interesting that I saw that Spot Track. This was kind of an interesting note. They're projecting Brandon Ayuk's free agency, and they're expecting him to make about $23 million per year. So some people had said 25 or 26. Spot Track projects Brandon Ayuk to make $23 million per year. Either way, Brandon Ayuk far and away should be the Niners' number 1 priority when it comes to re-signing anybody this offseason over Chase Young and anybody else who's a free agent. Brandon Ayuk should be, absolutely priority number 1. As far as the 2024 schedule, we now know the 49ers' opponents for next year. We don't know when they're going to play them, but we know most of their opponents. At home, of course, they'll play the teams in the division, Arizona, LA, and Seattle. And then also at home, the Bears, the Lions, the Jets, the Pats, and the Chiefs. And they'll also play the NFC East winner, so either Philly or Dallas. That's yet to be decided. But the Niners will play the first place schedule. And then on the road, of course, they'll get Arizona, LA, and Seattle again. But then they'll also play in Green Bay, in Minnesota, in Miami, in Buffalo, in Tampa Bay, or if the Saints or Falcons wind up being the NFC South winner, they'll play them instead of Tampa Bay. So that's your home and road. As far as, some of those home and road, as far as the road games, the one that I would be interested, I'd love to play Buffalo in Buffalo early in the year and play Miami in Miami late in the year and not the other way around. If they wind up playing Miami in Miami early in the year, that's anytime you play the Florida teams in September, that's a major advantage for them. And then if you're playing Buffalo in Buffalo after Thanksgiving, that's an advantage for the Bills. So that's something to keep your eye on. Do the Niners play Buffalo early and Miami late? That would be the good news. It would be bad news if it's Miami early and Buffalo late. Also, Green Bay. When's that Green Bay game? Is that game going to be, early in the year when it's sunny and warm in Green Bay, Wisconsin? Or is it going to be in December when it could be a real cold weather game? As far as the Pro Bowl voting, the fan voting ended on December 25th. Brock Purdy is the leading vote getter in the NFC with 451,864 total votes. Also among the league leaders, George Kittle, CMC, Kyle Juszczyk, Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, as far as Nick Bosa Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, Mitch Wishnowsky, Tabor Pepper, Ray Mcloud, all those guys. The Niners led all teams, by the way, in total votes for the Pro Bowl in the fan part of the voting. 15 different positions were led by the 49ers. So the Niners are getting lots of love. The one guy that absolutely needs to make the Pro Bowl, in my opinion, is Dre Greenlaw. He's never made the Pro Bowl before, and he has been consistently a Pro Bowl caliber player. And I'm not sure why a guy like Greenlaw keeps getting devalued or overlooked. But I asked Fred Warner about it today, and he's like, it hurts his heart, he said, that Dre Greenlaw hasn't been recognized as a Pro Bowl player, and I agree with him. Dre Greenlaw is absolutely a Pro Bowler. I'm very passionate that he deserves to be a Pro Bowler. We'll see how it all shakes out. As far as who sits and who starts Sunday against the Rams, expect everybody to start. The only guys that for sure are going to sit, Brock Purdy, Ambry Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, Eric Armstead. Those guys for sure are going to sit. So after that, it's going to be very complicated as far as how the Niners handle this. Kyle did not seem to like the idea of 2 back-to-back buys. And even though I think more rest is always a good thing, there is no real way for the Niners to operate in true back-to-back buys. So they're going to have to play. You can only call 2 guys off the practice squad, and so it's going to be very challenging for them to see who starts. And I asked Kyle, is this a tough, how do you make sure that there's no bad feelings and that there's no, you don't want to lose guys in the locker room because they thought they should be rested and you felt that you should rest somebody else. And he said, hey, look, we just talk about it openly to the players and we just tell them the reality of the situation, and they understand from there. It's not personal, but there's only so many guys that they can actually sit and rest in a regular season game. It's not like the preseason where you have 90-man camp rosters and you can rest all your starters in that final preseason game and they're all standing on the sidelines in civvies. You just can't do that. You have a certain number of players on a roster. You have limited moves that you can make. And then there's also the game within the game inside the game where, let's say you've started Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, and now you pull them out of the game in the second quarter and you go to D. Winters and Jalen Graham. Well, that's fine, but what if D. Winters and Jalen Graham then get hurt and you've got to go back in the fourth quarter to Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner and say, hey, I realize you took your tape off and this and that, but we need you to, tape back up and get out there because, we've had an injury here. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play their hand. It sounds like, they're going to rest only the injured players and plus 2, and that Brock is obviously going to be one of those. Everybody else is going to have to play. Now, how they play and how many snaps they play and how much the backups play, that's to be determined. But that's going to be a really interesting thing to watch for in this game in the second half. Is there anybody who gets shut down in the first half only to be called off the bench and having to be forced to play in the second half? The Niners today also opened the practice window. It's a 21-day practice window for Ray Mcloud. So there's a chance that Ray will get back on the field here this week. That's interesting. Tayshaun Gipson is going to be out 7 to 10 days with a quad strain. So Tayshaun Gibson's not going to go in this game either. That means guys like Eric Harris, who I talked to today, and Taylor Hawkins may get forced into action, and those guys may need to play with Tayshaun nursing the quad strain. As I said, Sam Darnold is going to start, and I would expect Sam Darnold to play the entirety of the game. Juwan Jennings has a concussion, but he was back at practice today in a limited capacity, and there's a chance that Juwan plays in this game, after missing the last couple with the concussions. So Juwan Jennings is going to be, or at least he's missing the last game. I guess he missed the last 2 with a concussion. So he missed the Raven game, he missed the Commander game, but he was back at practice today in a limited fashion. All right, that does it for our 49er recap video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video as well. And thanks to all you for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.